think they were, but they weren't, but then they were. So it's all good. They pulled the rope out on that one, so I can't punish it though.
Hello. Good afternoon, that's fine. Hi, so as I said, I'm Sarah from Thrive Health and Wellness. There's a lot of cameras going on, it's all terribly exciting. I'm I'm a kinesiologist, a naturopathic nutritionist, and I'm also a nail job remedies consultant, which is something I don't often talk about, but I do actually run a team of over 60 people who are interested in either the benefits of the nicer 25% discount you get off all the goodness, those who are interested in learning more about my natural health because you get a load of free training, or those who are looking for a bit of a second income as well, so that's a part of what I do. So before I go in and talk about it, I just want you to have a little think about when you're having a bad day and you go and you talk to your friends and you're like, oh, you know, the alarm didn't go off this morning and I'm running late, then somebody stole my car park space, somebody cut me up at the lights, you have all of these little things that are going on, but actually when your friend says, oh come on, what's really going on, you're like, actually, I was around with my husband last night. You know, the truth kind of comes out the more that we talk about it. That's kind of what kinesiology is. It's about going through the layers. It's about everything in your life, your mind, your job, your work, your home situation. Everything affects us, positively and negatively. There might be lots of lovely things going on, but there might also be a few little things that we just kind of have to deal with and just work out individually and then get to the root of the problem. And hopefully I will explain that to you as we go along. So my story. This is me, so baby. Thanks to my mum in Spain for going through the photo albums. So this is me about 3 years old, dressed in my Wonder Woman outfit, and that pretty much sums up what I thought of myself. I thought I could be everything and do everything. I'm of that generation that we were taught that we can absolutely have it all. And I pretty much exhausted myself throughout my entire childhood. I was that really annoying nerd at school. I was a scholarship girl, I was first flute in the band, got my gold DV. I did everything that you want to do. I was very lucky at my school, threw myself into it. But to be honest, kept kind of getting a little bit tired because of it and kept having the tonsillitis and the immunities and those things that were running me down. But I just didn't think about it because you don't. Fast forward to GCSEs and I got an illness called glandular fever, which I think probably lots of people have heard of. And this is great. It's not great, that's awful. This can be, it's interesting because it can last from only like a couple of weeks or it can linger. And mine lingered for 8 to 9 years. So it developed into, technically it's called post-viral fatigue syndrome, which I then my A-levels. I took them in the school SAN. I woke up for an hour, wrote half my paper, went back to sleep for an hour, woke up, did the next half, went back to sleep again. Took a gap year, great, when I travelled to New Zealand and Hungary, loved it, doing work experience. At the time I wanted to be a lawyer, so I went and worked in a law firm in Hungary, but soon realised I didn't really even have the energy to get through that day, sadly. And I came back home early from both of my placements because I was poorly, but I didn't know why. So off I went, started at university. I was reading English literature, because I'm a huge romance novel fan, basically, that's where that came from. And I only had 5 hours of contact a week, but I couldn't even manage that. So at the end of my first year, we agreed that I had to actually take a year out, and that was around my 20th, 21st birthday. And that was probably when it all seemed to go downhill. I spent 6 months pretty much bedbound in the house. This was me on my 21st birthday present. My brother delightfully took a picture of me, which is so sweet. Big brothers are great. But by this point, things were actually pretty rubbish. I was kind of spending all day in the house. I couldn't lift my hands up to here to wash myself. My mum had to wash me. Not exactly what you want when you're 21 years old. She'd have to cut up my food. I could then feed myself with a fork, but only a plastic fork, so it was nice and light because I could just about do that. Pretty rubbish really, not a time that you often delve back into. So the highlight then was about 6 months later that we got a wheelchair and I could go to Morrison's once a week and be pushed around in a wheelchair, and I honestly thought that was a highlight to get out of the house. And when you're in the grips of a chronic illness, you don't realise sometimes how bad it's got until you come out. So this was all happening, but determined little sausage, I was like, well, things are going to have to get better somehow. But I'm afraid I was also brought up to just believe in everything that the doctor says, and doctors are marvellous, but just to believe in the doctor and to think that anything alternative was total codswallop. So we decided to test this, and we went and tried acupuncture, homeopathy, bow, and all these different things, and they're all great in their own way, but they hadn't quite unlocked me. And I think that's very important. Whenever you try things, you have to find one that works for you. And mine was called Kinesiology. And within one session, she was like, oh, bless you, poor thing, you've got post-viral fatigue, food intolerances, you've got some adrenal stress, you've got all these things going on. let's just piece them apart layer by layer, which is what I said at the beginning, and we did. And over a few months, my health improved dramatically, so much so that within about, I can't remember the exact time, about a year or so later, I thought, yay, I'm cured, let's go back to my old life, let's go up to London, let's work in advertising agencies and work 14-hour days, because that sounded like a really sensible idea at the time. And then ensued another 5 years of basically living on alcohol on a Friday night, caffeine and chocolate in the morning, anything sugary just to get me through the day. As you can imagine, crash burn all the time, constant yo-yo health. Until 2012, everything came to a head. My father had died. I'd been in hospital twice within 2 months, and I just thought, this is not really right. This isn't what I should be feeling at 29 years old. So, moved back home and started this lifestyle. So, proceeded to then leave the corporate world for me, retrain as a kinesiologist. At this stage, totally petrified, knew I loved it, didn't know if I'd be any good at it. My goodness me, I was brought up, achieve, crack on, academic world type of thing, so I didn't know what I would be like in this world, but it turns out I was actually pretty good at it, and love helping other people. So a lot of this has been about my story, but it's now about what I can give to others because of having gone through it. So we fast forward through those years, I started going back to kinesiology, I started listening to lessons, I tried to slow down, I realised I didn't have to be perfect in everything because that was impossible, so I couldn't try and keep striving for it all the time. As I said, married a lovely man in the military. Keith is absolutely gorgeous. We've got, shame that Maria's not here actually, because we got engaged at Spanish Grand Prix, so we're both huge Formula 1 fans. I sing the Military Wives Choir, but this is actually Lindsay Punch, just here, in case she's sadly not here today. And amazingly, throughout everything that I've done throughout kinesiology, the whole thing, I've gone back to sport. I play netball twice a week. I took part in a 100-kilometre cycle ride this year, and I'm training for my first triathlon at the moment, which is also a scary prospect in itself, but I can't believe that I'm able to, every time I get to go swimming, every time I get to get out of bed and feel great, every time I get to take the dog for a walk, I get a bit tingly because it's pretty big still, I'm very grateful for that. So this is my world, and as I said, that's me, but what it means is what I can now do for others, hopefully. So this is kind of a bit of a triangle about kinesiology. So as I said, it's about you as a person, as a whole. And we split it into 3 areas. So I talk about like the biochemical side, which is probably looking at you and checking your hydration, checking your protein levels, seeing if you've got any food triggers that are just bothering your body. Then the emotional side. We know, we've heard from so many people in this room how our, what we think we feel and how our thoughts and our stresses and our worries affect us. Julia will be nodding like this is what she does day in, day out with people now. So I work with all of these different batch flower remedies. People might have heard of rescue remedy beforehand. And all the batch flowers are all the different individual ones tailored to you. I work with affirmations, emotional freedom technique, tapping, anything that we need just to kind of restore the spirit and the mind. And then also structurally, there's a lot of work that you can do here. People can come to kinesiologists for bad backs, for headaches and migraines, and we can look at kind of cranial structure. So it's very much an Eastern versus Western medicine. It was actually invented by a chiropractor, so it came from that anatomy and physiology place, and it was overlaid with everything else that we've kind of learned. So areas that I can help you with are pretty much widespread. I do think kinesiology is a marvellous tool. I think it can help with pretty much anything, regardless of whether you're taking medication, if you've got any existing illnesses, it works around it, because it's working in harmony. So whatever condition you have, it just helps to support you nice and roundly. You've got this going on, let's just work on the immune system, let's calm some other things down. So there's a bit of a grid here of what I can do. If there's time, I'll do a quick 1-minute demo, but here are just some pictures of what it is. So you lie fully clothed on the couch. Each muscle relates to an organ, which relates to a meridian. So I might, for example, down here, I'm testing your arm here, which is the anterior deltoid, which is actually the gallbladder meridian, and I'm checking for the absorption of fats within the body. With this one up here, quadriceps for me, small intestine, and I want to see how your body's actually absorbing your food and your minerals and things like that. And it's really simple, it's just light pressure. If it holds still, brilliant, that part of you is working well, tick box. If it goes a bit weak, it suggests there's an imbalance, and we go back to that triangle previously, and I work out what is going to work for you to help strengthen you. I'll also do, nutritional supplement testing in people, food intolerance testing, things like that, and I'll work with babies from 6 months who are struggling with sleep or tummy problems and maybe identify lactose intolerance, up to my eldest client is 89 years old and he's got Parkinson's. I'm not curing his Parkinson's, I'm working alongside him to manage his symptoms and help him cope with it a little bit better. But my main areas that I adore working with, and you'll probably get that vibe, is from teenagers who are feeling stressed with life, with the pressures of everything going on. I'm pretty sure that I inadvertently triggered my glandular fever through that year of pressure. Like, I literally cried if I got a B, I'd run out of the class. I put that pressure on myself. My parents are like, it's fine, whatever you want to do. But also working with anybody when they get into kind of their 20s, 30s, 40s, you know, when they're just not sure, when life is just too much, when everything's just a bit chaotic, a bit overwhelmed, a bit of a juggle, and we work through it all. Yeah, so as I said, it's about working through the different layers of things that are going on. And that means that you don't treat everything in one go. So it is about coming back, some regularity of appointments. Some people need a couple of sessions. Mostly you normally need about 5 or 6, and others I see on a monthly basis. And I was talking to Townsend, I'm kind of like their little health MOT person. Every month they just come in, cost of a massage, come and have a little check, get back on track. Splendid. The other side I've talked about, I qualified also as a nutritionist. Kinesiology has always been part of, nutrition's always been part of kinesiology, but it's the old part of me that was geek inside me. I needed to know more in order to feel more confident to talk to people about it, to help with them with diet changes, to, you know, I'll come and check for food intolerances, and then make a plan around it to support your gut so it heals, so you might be able to go back onto that food. It's not about saying that everything's bad, and it's rarely the poor food's fault, to be honest with you. It's normally our gut. So I'll work with that. These are ideas, a little grids that I give people, some recipe suggestions, just to try and mix it up, because we'll get a bit bored and in a bit of a rut, and we want to have the nutrients and the energy from our food. So I hope that's given you a little bit of an idea about what Thrive does and what we offer. As I've kind of said, I'm looking for kind of people. I'm based in Sherborne, in Dorset, so for kinesiology, tend to get people from Wiltshire, Somerset, Dorset areas, although I do have people who come from Devon and London to come to see me as well for any kind of specific areas. Just a few ideas of some phrases that people might say, that you might hear them saying when they're just a little bit at the end of their tether. Often sometimes people come, nothing is actually wrong, but they're just feeling a little bit out of sorts. And by checking your body, checking the 14 main meridians, get to give you a bit of an idea of what's working really well and what might just need a bit of support. This is an interesting one. I set up an online community called the Thrive Tribe a few months ago because I really want to try to take the business wider. That's the barrier of kinesiology, which is why I changed my name from being Sarah Ted Kinesiology to being, also when I got married, to being Thrive Health, because I wanted it to be more accessible instead of a what's that word? And so I'd love you to join it. It's a little Facebook group, it's a closed group. I put lots of hints and tips and ideas up there. The idea is to take that further, to offer online webinars, courses at some point. But for some other kind of personal reason, it's still going, but I'm pausing that at the moment, and I'm concentrating on the kinesiology and building that up. 2 final things just to say, just about offers that I have. If people aren't sure what to come along, so an hour and a half is what I offer for initial kinesiology appointment, which is £80. Which I try to keep relatively affordable so people can come and try it. But I do offer a half hour for 30 if people just want to be like, what is this crazy world? Could it help me? What's going on? I don't want to invest too much. Absolutely fine. And anybody that you might know, just give me a call if they want to chat and find out. And if it's not for them, I'll also tell them, because you kind of want to be open to finding out the information. And for women in Liz, instead of doing a money off, I thought I would do a value added and offer you an extra half an hour. So if you want to book in for your initial hour and a half, you can actually have 2 hours, because to be honest, when do you get that much time to talk about yourself and everything that's going on, and when do you have that relaxation time and switch off? So I hope that I can support everybody back to wellness as fully as possible.
Oh, thank you so much. Has anybody got any questions?
Does everybody feel like they understand kinesiology? Does anyone want to see a quick demo?
Yeah. Maybe you don't.
Yeah? One up here, we'll just have a quick try. It's not a party trick, so if things don't work, it's because I'll chat to Carol afterwards. So come and stand in here. So what it just is, it's a gentle test. If you just put your arm out to one side, I'm just going to lift it out here. So all we say is, along here, as I said, I'm checking actually kind of gallbladder meridian. You're just going to gently hold up to my hand for me. Just meet my pressure. Absolutely perfect. That's great. And stop. I'm just going to rub in here and meet my pressure. Perfect, that's great, and I'm just going to touch on the back. Hold it. And once more. Okay, just relax that a little bit. Just meet it, don't go too hard. And hold it. Perfect. So relax that down. So that's actually a really good example of a muscle where sometimes when we're hot, when we're busy, when we're dehydrated, actually our muscles don't switch on and off perfectly, so they almost stay too locked on, which is really great because sometimes we can just, there can be so much happening, we can always be in that locked state of tension. Whereas actually when we're rubbing here on the meridian point, the arms should go, oh, I'm just switching off. So that's kind of a really good idea just to show. What we would do, if we'd found that that worked nicely on and off, we can then put all the food kits against you, you can just hold it up against your face and we can see if it works. And if your arm went from strong down to weak, then that's a quick way of saying, oh yeah, that food's a bit of a trigger for you and you best avoid it. Is that alright? Yeah. Perfect. Thank you very much.